The president should go to Arizona, should go to Texas, should go to West Virginia. The president needs to meet with, as he promised, with a group of religious leaders that are very diverse, poor and low wealth workers, economists and voting rights lawyers, all in the same room. His staff has been blocking this. They've been saying, well, we got to wait till infrastructure. But the president said to us he wanted to work with us.
Ending poverty will not just be an aspiration. It will be a theory of change that includes everyone. And I want to be part of your movement.
Every one of our representatives here in West Virginia told us no. We're not going to consider policies for the poor, the underprivileged, the underprivileged, the suffering, our vets. No, we're not going to think about them before we make a policy decision.
Hi, my name is Mark Pringle, and I'm a fourth-generation family farmer who lives with my wife, Mary Jane, and my father, Lorne, here in southeastern Kansas. We raise grain crops and cattle. Suicides have increased amongst farmers. The market pressures impacting farmers and their operations are affecting not just the health of our farm economy, but also the health of those who live in rural communities.
There's a new chemical company that's producing another carcinogen. In our community, it's amazing the people who just started dying of cancer. And when my wife was diagnosed with cancer, I was amazed at the black women that would ring our doorbell and walk in the door and pull a wig off to show my wife that I have it too.
During this pandemic, I worked as a server with Waffle House, making only $3.10 an hour plus tips. But like so many essential workers, I never had sick days. I never had any hazard pay. I never had any health care.
So there's been no federal help, no state help, Catherine, to fix this, to clean up the lagoons.
So the problem is that in these communities, they've applied these cheap fixes that don't work. And with climate change, it's gotten worse.
It's only gotten worse.
So if you
because the big downpours.
Because of downpours, every time it rains, you have a problem, right? The woman that's across the street, when it overflows her yard, it's full of raw sewage.
I got tired. I fought it. I had no way to fight no more. I have no way out. The federal government have failed everything. Nobody cares about us. Did you hear me?
For over 500 years, Native Americans have suffered. From the beginning to where I stand today and for those yet to come.
That's one thing we're fighting right now. When Congressman Gosar of Arizona said that Native people are still the wards of the government.
We are demanding that we stop the war on our poor.
I hate living in a society that throws so many people away. A system that makes it impossible to win and then blames you for not winning is really evil. So many people sit in those Senate chairs that don't care at all about working people, don't care at all about essential workers, don't care at all, and care only about their rich friends and get away with it.
But it's also really, really sad about the loss of 11 people in my family. My cousins, they continue to talk about the fact that their aunties and uncles have died. And it's really stressful and sad to listen to them talk about how they weren't able to see them. And the thing that makes it even more angry, the fact to see that people aren't walking around with masks and they're not social distancing in the way that they should.
I received an honorable medical discharge in 2007 after 4 years of service due to complications from pancreatitis. Upon my discharge, I knew essentially nothing about the science of addiction and how it works in and ultimately changes the brain. From drug addiction to misdiagnosed mental illness, there seems to also be a lack of compassion and humility, or at very least a turning of a blind eye to problem areas in our society.
Did you know that there are 45 million immigrants in the United States? 11 million of them are undocumented. Did you know that undocumented immigrants pay more in taxes than the wealthiest 1%, but they are blocked from public services?
A lot of our tenants are facing evictions. A lot of our community members don't have enough money to put food on their tables. And we have community members that cannot afford to go to the hospital even when they're getting sick.
These are the things that our community has to resource to because there is a lack of will within our government to resolve issues that are very basic.
nearly 1/3 of the electorate is poor and low wealth. And yet many times we don't even hear poor and low wealth discussed in our political discourse.
Healthcare, living wages, equitable education, immigrant rights, demilitarization of our world and our communities.
Why is it that poor and low wealth people and people needing their voting rights and living wages have to have things negotiated away, but when a corporation comes, they get everything. They ask for trillions and they get trillions. We ask the people who give the most to compromise the most, and the folk who give the least to get the most. That's ridiculous. See, we got to change the moral mindset of our whole way of working.